I study corals, and I study corals, how they're faring due to climate change scenarios. And I'm trained in molecular biology and genetics, and so we're trying to use advanced genetics and cell biology techniques to understand corals, both on first principles to understand how the interesting organisms work, but also understand how heat stress threatens the ecosystem as a whole. Corals face an extinction crisis right now due to climate change, and so over the past several decades we've lost a lot of coral reefs due to heat waves that hit the oceans and lead to loss of coral reefs. And coral reefs support up to 25% of all known marine life, and so it's a really a crisis in the sense that these really important biodiverse ecosystems are being lost due to heat associated with climate change. There's many gaps in the field, but the ones that I'm most interested in is trying to take technologies that were built to study humans and human diseases and apply them to ecosystems. I think that we are in a renaissance, a golden era of molecular biology and genetics. The advent of new genomic tools and sequencing technology really allow us to study organisms that were intractable just a few decades ago. And so I think that the questions that I'm interested in are first principle questions. How do corals work? What makes corals sensitive to heat? And what makes some corals resistant to heat? And I think if we knew those questions at the genetic level, then we can use that information to predict how these ecosystems are going to fare in future climate scenarios. I think that there's an interesting barrier where using biotechnology to study ecosystems is kind of rare, in the sense that most of these CRISPR and genome sequencing technologies have primarily been used to study humans and human diseases. But I think that because of this renaissance that we're in right now, it's really opening up new avenues to take organisms into the lab and study them. And so I think the barrier is that we're right at the early edge of this field, and something I'm really excited about this meeting is trying to nucleate larger communities to try to make it so that that we have a knock-on effect of many different people studying similar or different questions using cell biology and genetic tools to understand the key questions that we face. I think that the thing that excites me the most about science is that we are in a golden age. I was just at a meeting recently, and people are taking organisms into the lab and studying their fundamental biology. And these are organisms that we couldn't work on before. Corals are an example of that, but lizards and insects. And what this really allows us to do is allows us to expand our horizons and go back from the model systems that people have been working with, a handful of model systems, to go back into nature and become naturalists again as molecular biology and molecular biologists and geneticists. And I think this shift back to naturalism in biology and molecular biology in particular is really exciting. I think that if I had all the funding in the world, I would fund basic science research. And basic science research has historically and currently is the catalyst for discoveries that will revolutionize humanity. If you take some of the examples of technology that were discovered that have shaped medicine, that have shaped biotechnology, that have shaped economies, you can think of things like green fluorescent proteins. You can think of things that let us amplify genes, Taq polymerase. You can think about things that let us edit genomes, CRISPR-Cas9. And those discoveries came from some person wanting to know why jellyfish glow in the dark. Some people wanting to know, how do bacteria live in really hot environments? And what makes a bacteria have an immune system? These are fundamental basic questions in biology that's curiosity driven, but have led to revolutions in humanity and technology in humanity. So what I would do if I had infinite money and unlimited funding is for sure build a solid foundation for curiosity-driven basic science across fields of biology, especially in molecular biology right now, and the interdisciplinariness, because it's, again, like a forefront of the field. I don't know if it's skills or training that is important for young people, but I think it's passion and drive and interest. One of my mentors told me once, do what you would do for free in life. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes you excited. Something that has curiosity in your heart. And I would say, find those questions for you and then tackle those questions to the best of your ability. And the skills and the training will come secondary to the passion and the curiosity, as long as you have that behind you. One thing I really enjoy about the meeting is that is really highlighting the opportunities that cell biologists and geneticists have to contribute to addressing or looking at some of the big problems that we have as a society, as humanity. And that gives me hope. It gives me excitement that there's lots of different people thinking about these problems. What I hope to do in this community is play a small role in that community and trying to contribute my small amount of expertise to a very large question that is not just about cell biology, it's not just about genetics, it's about policymakers, it's about economists, we're all in the same boat together. And so I think that I'm excited to see how this field expands to include lots of people that are already thinking about these really important questions.